Okay, so the topic is introduction to frameworks. First, let's discuss that what are frameworks, why we need them, and then we'll start with designing one of the framework which is very famous these days. That is Modular Framework, in which we'll be using Selenium, we'll be using TestNG, Page Object Model, Page Factory model, any one of two which you like, you can use that. Then we'll include TestNG in it. Then we'll include testng.xml file. Then we will also include Jenkins in it. I mean, integrated with Jenkins, we'll have logs functionality, and then we'll have reporting functionality. So this is a kind of framework which we are going to design. Okay, so let's first discuss about what are frameworks, why we need them in our projects. Okay, so first thing, a framework is the core structure of any environment. It can be a testing environment, or designing a web application, or developing some Windows-based application. Okay, not only in testing, but developers also have their own framework. They also do some kind of they also create some kind of framework which helps them to maintain their code. Okay, now what do you mean by designing a framework? Okay, so designing a framework means defining standards of writing code. Okay, like let's say if 4 to 5 people are working on a particular project, one person do things in his own way and second do things in his own way, then it will be very difficult between those two people to collaborate, between the team to collaborate, right? So that's why we define our structure, we define some standard of writing code. That way everyone will remain on the same page. Say for example, reading a file from text, reading text from a text file, there can be multiple ways of doing it, right? One person do and using some standard libraries of Java, second write his own code. So uh, going forward, let's say if both of them left, some third person is coming, then he'll see that there are two ways which to choose. So it will be very difficult. So such kind of things where things are shared, this they write code in such a way that everybody is on same page, everybody knows what we are writing. Okay, so without a framework, as I was telling you, without a framework the code will be written in haphazard manner, which is neither reusable nor readable. It will become very difficult to understand the code. Okay, see, the way we did it till now, how we were doing it, if I open your code, um, if I open your code, for every topic I was creating a package, and in that from the start I was writing the scenarios. In real time, these things which we are doing again and again in real projects, you don't have to do them again and again. We write methods for all this, for all the code which is reusable. Okay, so will not follow this kind of approach where I'll create one class file where I'll write the complete code, and then in the next class file I'll create one of its main method and then call that class. No, we'll write it in proper format. Okay, so that's what we have to learn. Let's start now. Okay, next, frameworks reduce the rework of writing code, as I was telling you, provides high portability, reduces script maintenance, etc. Okay, see how it reduces script maintenance. Let's say you have written some code and you have tested it thoroughly, okay, and it's working fine, there is no issue in that code. Going forward, let's say after doing few of the feature, same kind of code comes again. Okay, and if you'll start writing it again from the scratch, then you you will feel you may stuck up in the same issues which you faced earlier, or some new issues might come up, right? So never a good idea. Always use code if it is already available to you. Don't rewrite your code. That's way you will reduce the script maintenance, because you have to maintain, or you have to change your code at only one location if some changes comes up, not at multiple locations. Okay. Next is a framework must provide an ability to generate reports of test run and show it in easy to read format, may it be Excel format and an HTML form or an HTML format. So it's very important that your framework must have a capability or ability to create a proper report the way your stakeholders want. Okay. uh, if your manager asks you that give me a HTML beautiful looking reports, I'm only worried about numbers, so give me numbers, don't give me what are defects. No, just give me that I have run 200 test cases, out of those 10 are failed, out of those 10 6 are defects, 4 are known issues. Like this, he's interested in numbers, then you have to generate a report in that way. If your manager is technical, then or you are sending your report to the complete account, then they might be interested in having which all defects you logged, or what are the scenarios which failed, what was the exact reason of failing, what was the what was the proper stack trace, what was the exception coming, how much time it took, and then like uh, if it has failed, where are the screenshot, right? So these are few things which your technical team may demand you, so then you have to create your report in such a format. So we will see what kind of report we can generate. Okay. Next is, it must have the capability to take screenshot of failure scenarios which can help in debugging later. Very important. Let's say you have developed some thousands of test cases and you build it every night. Okay, you're doing night execution through CI, through your Jenkins. Every night 9 o'clock your test cases starts, or whenever a new build comes, your test cases starts. In that case, you might be interested that if some scenario is failing, then what is the exact reason of failure. So screenshot can help you in that. Taking screenshot can help you in that. So your framework must have a capability to take screenshot, so we'll also consider this point in our framework. Next is, it must have a logging functionality to log all the activities in debug, info and error modes. Again, it is also helpful for debugging, that your framework must provide you a way to log to create logs of whatever activity is being happening in your code. So we'll be using a third-party tool called Log4j for this, and that can provide us logs in info, debug, error and fatal mode. Okay, any questions till now? So whatever point I'm mentioning, at the end of the course, at the end of this framework, just look at it, that have we missed anything or was it really required, something like that. Okay, so Arun, you're saying haphazard means, yeah, Arupesh has answered it, unstructured kind of, that is you don't have a clear cut idea that where which part of code is written. Okay, so these points will be clear once I'll start writing code, then you'll also appreciate that how a framework makes things easy for us. Okay, next is, there must be a standard defined and maintained while designing framework, which includes the way of designing libraries, logging format, reporting format. It's very important. See, uh, as I was telling you earlier, that it might happen that the framework which you are using or the code you are writing, that can be shared within few members of your team or within multiple teams as well. Like if I talk about my project, we have somewhere around 5 scrum teams, and every team member, like every QA in that team, writes their own code, their own automation framework, right? So if I use some X way of creating report, other person is using some um, Y format of report, then we are not following any standard, right? uh, he might be giving some information which I am not giving, or I have a full I am giving the complete information, other one is not giving proper information. So your reporting formats, your logging formats. Logging formats means that the format which you'll be using while writing the log files. Okay, sometime like what all information you're providing, that when your error occurred or when this thing occurred, which class, from which class this exception occurred, from which line number the exception occurred. If you are giving these kind of information, then there should be a proper format for it. So that's what very important is there. And next is designing libraries. This I'll explain in some time, that what exactly this designing libraries means, but there should be a proper format for everything. Okay, now next it is that there are three major frameworks famous in market. This is old story now. Like data structure is still there, sorry, this data driven framework is still there. So we'll also include this data driven framework in our framework which we are going to design, but a keyword and hybrid driven, nobody is working on it, so I'll not be taking these two framework, rather I'll start my own framework. So I'll start with that now. So main points are clear, that why we need framework. The main reason we need framework is to define standards of writing code and defining formats. Okay, you should have what kind of libraries you will be forming, what logging format you will be following, what reporting format you will be following, and so on. Okay, so this is introduction to framework. Now I'll start with the framework only. Okay, so we'll be doing everything from the scratch. Okay, so any question before I start? Okay, Rupesh, you have a question. Logging. Okay, what is logging? Uh, your the project on which you are working on, are they maintaining any logs? Okay, so what is logs? They are not maintaining. So let me explain you what is logs. Let's say you have some 1,000 lines of code. Okay, and every you code like a particular scenario, let's say end-to-end scenario, whatever you're testing, it goes through some 1,000 lines of code. Okay, then how do you get to know which all things are executed, what has happened, and where exactly your scenario is? So for that we maintain a proper log format. Even your Selenium provides you good logging format. Okay, logs are like a txt file in which all your activities are recorded. So it's like a record of whatever is being happening in your project. Okay, say for example you have opened the browser, so in your log file you will have open browser, which browser, Chrome browser, then set the page load timeout, set element detection timeout, after that I navigated to this site, and so on. So every information, your exceptions, your file path, everything will be there in that in sequential order, so that just looking at the log files you'll get to know what exception was coming and where exactly things has failed. Okay, so you'll get a more clear idea once we'll include that in our framework. Okay, so I'll start with first of all I'm creating a Java project. Okay, I'll name it Modular Framework. Okay, finish. One more point, these days I've seen that to especially to uh, like uh, uh, just to screen out few of the resumes, as a lot of resumes are coming whenever a new opening comes up, okay, in market. So to screen out good people, what they are doing is they are keeping a coding round now. Okay, they give you Google, they give you everything, but they expect you to create a proper framework, and they want you to follow proper uh, oops concepts in it. Okay, so that's why I'll also try to use oops as much as possible, so that you'll get an idea that how in real time oops are used. And one more point, the framework which I'm going to design, just try to write it as many times as possible from scratch. This will give you a very like give you a proper speed, so that in if you are getting some coding challenge in any of your interview, you can quickly write the code. Okay, writing Selenium script is not difficult, but they don't expect you to write simple Selenium script. They expect you to write a proper framework. So that's why I'm saying that try this framework as many times as possible, so that you will you'll not lack in that round also. Okay, so in my framework, first thing I'll be doing is I'll be creating certain interfaces. Okay, so I'll name it Common Libs Interfaces. Then next package I'll be creating is Common Libs only. Okay, so these two packages I have created. In this framework, I'll be using Selenium jar files. So let me just include that also. Right click, right click, build path, then configure build path, libraries, add external jar, and then select the Selenium jar file. Okay, okay. In Common Libs interfaces, now what I'm going to do, see, in your Selenium, there are around hundreds and thousands of methods which are available. So what I'm going to do, uh, okay, Gaurav is saying, can you repeat last 2 minutes? So I've just created a new project here. In that I've created, like, there is a source folder, and I've just created Common Libs and Common Libs interface. Okay, so what I was telling here is that I'll be creating certain interfaces here, and why we need them. Let's see one by one. So first interface which I'm creating in it is, I'll name it, I'm putting an I before it, so that everybody knows that it's an interface, and I'll name it as driver. So this is first interface I'm creating. In this interface, I'll have methods which are directly related to your browser. Okay, let me just change the font also. Just a second, let me change the font. Does anyone remember where it was? This one was not the one. Basics, yeah. Okay. Okay, so in this interface, which is WebDriver interface, sorry, driver interface, which is where I'm going to write all the methods related to my browser. Okay, so just think of what all methods you perform directly on your browser. Okay, one of the method which I always do in my on my browser is, just a second. Okay, what all methods you do on a browser? So first method is public void open browser. This is the first method we perform. Okay, and we'll also declare the exception all here. So throw exception, sorry, it should be throws exception. Okay, and yesterday only we studied about interface, that an interface has only empty methods without any definition, right? So this one method I have declared here. Next will be public void. What all you can do on a browser, you can close a browser, right? So I'll write a method close browser. So what I'm doing here is I'm just segregating out methods into different classes. Okay, before that I'm creating interface so that I make sure that in the class all these methods are implemented. Okay, so we'll also discuss about why we are doing in such a way and what is the benefit we'll get out of defining interface and so on. So I write one method which is close all browser. Okay, then what all you do in on your browser, you set page load time, right? So public void method name will be set page load timeout. Okay, again throws exception. Next, uh, what else you do? You have done set page load timeout, and we have, there is implicit timeout. We call it as element detection timeout. Element detection timeout. So this is one method I've written. What else? We can get title directly, right? So public void get title, that is also directly called on the browser. Okay, next, page source. Get page source is one method. So public void get page source throws exception. What else? There was one current URL, get current URL. So let's write that also. Public void get current URL throws exception. Okay, then there were four navigate methods, so we can write that also. Public void navigate to it takes one URL, right? So let me write that also. String URL and throws exception. And this open browser we missed here also. We have to pass the which URL to open. Okay, next will be navigate refresh. So let me just copy it and navigate forward is one method and navigate back is one method. Okay, is anything else you can think of at in adding? uh, okay, and Gaurav, you saying this is okay. I always forget that. Next is maximum. Yeah, maximum minimizing, that will include an open browser, not an open browser. I'll tell you where I'm going to include it. Praveen, for open browser we should give browser type, right? Okay, so if that is the case, let me change its name to something else. Open browser, if you think okay, let it be open browser. and we'll keep it string URL only, and the browser type I'll tell you where I'm going to give. Okay, so is this clear? Any doubt in this? Any other method you can think of which we can add in our driver class? Okay, Praveen, you saying driver.get? Yeah, that method will come inside your open browser. uh, Arun is saying delete all cookies, so that will also come in open browser. You just think of a proper end-to-end method. Okay, so if there will be anything else while working we got to know, we'll include that in our framework. Let's now continue with implementing these methods. Okay, so in my common libs now, I'll create one class and I'll call it CommonDriver, and this CommonDriver class will implements all which one driver interface, iDriver interface. Okay, so it is giving me an error. Okay, guys, is my voice not clear? Am I audible? Yes, no? Okay. Rupesh, can you rejoin? Rupesh, you there? Okay, when he'll come back, okay, he's here. No, he's left. Okay, I'll explain him once he'll be back. Okay, so what I've done is I've created one CommonDriver class which implements this iDriver interface. It is giving me an error. What it is saying? It is saying that we have not added all the unimplemented methods, because this driver interface which we saw here, it has many abstract methods which are not implemented in CommonDriver. So I'll just hover around it and click on add unimplemented methods. So this will create methods for me. Okay, now these methods, open browser, close browser, all these methods you have to complete here. Okay, so what is the benefit of having this interface? The benefit is that this is making sure that all these methods you are implementing in your CommonDriver class. Okay, and let me complete this CommonDriver class and then we'll discuss about further benefit of having such an implementation. Okay, now first thing, I'll create an interface, I'll create a constructor of this CommonDriver class. Okay, so I'll say public CommonDriver. So what is a constructor? Remember what was a constructor? A constructor is a method with same name as that of class. It does not return anything, not even null. So see here, I'm not writing any return type here, and it is used for initializing default values, right? So I created a constructor. Now we also need instance of our browser. So I'll create a private instance of my browser and I'll call it private WebDriver. Let's say driver is the name of the WebDriver. Okay, so I'm creating it private. Why private? One of the property of oops concept. Remember, hiding data hiding. We are hiding data from outside world. We are keeping it as private so that nobody can access this WebDriver directly. Okay, so see here, what oops concept we have followed. First of all, we created an interface with the name driver, in which I've written empty methods, which all those methods which are related to browser, like open browser, close all browser, set page load time, and so on. Okay, then I wrote one of the class which implements this interface. So this is one oops concept we are following, that we are creating 100% abstraction. Then inside this, one of the oops concept I'm following, that is data hiding, again abstraction only, where I'm keeping my variables as private. Okay, now to access, remember what we used to do when we have to access private members, we have something known as getters and setters. So we'll be using getters and setters to get the value and to set the value. So we'll write them later. What all members you need? You need one long type of variable to set page load timeout. So I'll call it set page load timeout. Okay, not set page load timeout, I'll call it as page load timeout, and private long element detection timeout. Okay, so these are three variables which I'll be writing, which I'll be creating. Okay, next step will be we have to give some default values to these variables, right? So I'll say page load timeout to 30 seconds and element detection timeout to 10 seconds. So I have given these two values as default values. Okay, Rupesh, you have a question, what will happen if we don't create constructor here? Okay, so let me just complete the constructor, then we'll discuss about what will happen, why I am doing this. Okay, okay, now while I was writing this open browser, so I've written string URL. I've not mentioned which browser to open, right? See, whenever you're doing testing or you are using this framework, that time you might be using only one single browser at a time, right? Generally, this kind of approach is taken, that in one go we test on one single browser, unless until you are doing parallel testing. How to handle parallel testing we'll discuss later once we'll reach to TestNG part, but generally we test with one single. So what I'm going to do, the browser which you have to open, instead of mentioning that in open browser, I'll mention or I'll add that in CommonDriver class only, or in my constructor only. So whenever this instance of this CommonDriver class will be created, your browser will automatically invoke. Okay, so here I'll make it parameterized, browser type, and this also I'll make in such a way that exception handling will be doing, because your browser can also throw exception. Now after setting page load timeout, based on this browser type, I have to invoke the browser. Okay, so for that, first of all, what I'm going to do, browser type, very important point. Does anyone know what this trim method do? Yes, no? Okay. Anyone remember this trim method? What it do? Yeah, Rishabh, you're saying clear white spaces. Perfect answer. So what this trim method do? It removes white spaces from the end. Now question comes, why I'm doing it. Few of the things you have to take care while writing the framework, which a human can make an error, right? See what happens when sometimes what happens, I generally copy paste things. Let's say I'm copy pasting this. Okay, So sometime it happens that there might be some white spaces at the end, and when I select it, that white spaces also get selected. See here, this white space is also getting selected. Okay, so when you are passing this browser type, this might happen that by mistake you may put some white space at the end. Knowingly or unknowingly, you might do this mistake. So it's always a better approach that whenever you're taking a string argument as a parameter, okay, always trim it. Very important point to note that always trim it, so that uh, if by mistake you have put some white space, that is not hampering your testing. Okay, is this point clear? Okay, so let's proceed then. Next thing will be, based on this browser type, I'll invoke my browser. So I'll use switch statement here, switch case statement. So switch case statement, here the key will be browser type and value can be Chrome. If it is Chrome, then what do you have to do? One more point, this browser type which I'm passing here, sometime it might happen that you pass this Chrome as capital Chrome, or you keep C as capital. So let's consider that part also. So what I'm doing in the key, I'm calling one method to lowercase. So what it will do, it will convert your browser type, whatever you will be passing, a mix of capital or small or all capitals or all small. What it is going to do, it will convert that into lowercase and then will match with the case. Okay. Rishabh, you have a question. What is the benefit of using interface? Why can't we define the methods in our class? Okay. Uh, Give me some more time. I'll explain you once I'll complete all these classes. Okay. One of the benefit which, as I was telling you, that write all the method and it makes ensure that every method is implemented here. This is one reason. Okay, you might say that there is only one single class, so I'll not forget. I'll add all these methods here. I agree to that point. Another benefit, let me just complete it and then we'll discuss about that. Okay, actually it's a good question, and once you'll get the answer, we'll discuss about it. Okay, next is now next step will be that I've selected the Chrome. So here we have to set the system property, right? So I'll say system dot set property, uh, what will be the key, WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver, and then you have to give the path. So path will be of Chrome driver exe. Let me copy paste it. Okay, and after this we have to just invoke our Chrome browser. So it will be driver equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, and then I'm putting a break. Next, let's just copy paste this complete case, add it here. We'll make it Firefox, and here we'll make it Firefox, and I have to change the path. So for Firefox you'll be needing Gecko driver, right? And here this will change to Firefox driver. Let me copy paste the path of Gecko driver. And third, you can add for the and this will also change to Geeko. Thanks Rupesh. So this will also change to Geeko. Third, you can add yourself that if let's say you want Internet Explorer, so add Internet Explorer also. If you want Safari, so add Safari also. Okay, next, default, like if none of the above case matches, then here I'll simply say throw new exception, and the exception I'll mention will be invalid browser type. And which browser type we are talking about? This. Okay, so the invocation of browser part, or you can say the choosing of browser part, I've done in my constructor only. So in my constructor only, I'll decide which browser I'm going to open. Okay, next will be, let's set page load timeout, because before opening browser you need to set the page load time also, right? And one more thing I forget here, that while you are doing page load timeout, you have to pass the argument also. Page load timeout. Similarly here it will be long element detection timeout. Okay, so here it will be long page load timeout, and here it will be element detection timeout. Okay, so this is one setter method where I'm setting the page load timeout, right? So it will be this dot page load timeout equal to page load timeout. Okay. Similarly here it will be this dot element detection timeout. So anyone, why this keyword is used? Why I'm using this keyword? Anyone? Why this keyword is used? To give priority to your page. Like here if you can see that this argument which I'm passing, page load timeout, and the variable I defined above are exactly same. Page load timeout is name here and same name is there here, right? So to give preference to class level variable over argument level variable, we always use this keyword. Okay, so this is what this keyword is used for. Okay, and Rishabh, you're saying here why were we not using driver.manage. See, that is giving value to your method. Okay, here we are just taking input from the user. I've not defined this value anywhere. I'm just taking input from the user. From outside, user can call this method to give value of this variable. Okay, so whatever you are saying, that will do in our OpenBrowser method. So let's write OpenBrowser method here now. So we have initialized our browser. It will be Chrome driver or Firefox driver depending upon which browser type you have passed. Next step will be that after invoking the browser, will do all the settings which we used to do earlier. So one will be manage dot delete all cookies. Next will be driver dot manage dot timeout dot page load timeout, and which variable, this one, time unit dot seconds. So here I have done whatever you asking for, Rishabh. Earlier using this method I took value from the user. That value which I took, I'm putting it here. Okay, now, okay, there are a few questions. Let me take them first. Rupesh, you're saying once again, can you explain what is the overwrite annotation? Will do little bit confused. Okay, I'll explain that. Next is Rishabh, but this line can we not write an page load time method? Okay, why I'm not writing there? Because see, this page load timeout and element detection timeout or implicit wait, these are two timeouts which you define initially while your browser is invoking. Okay, so if I write this method like in my set page load timeout, if I'll write these methods here, I'll write page driver.manage. So what will happen, your browser will set only when this method will be called, right? So and user has access to this method, so he or she can call this method again and again, which is not required. You have to set this value only once, take value from this, and when you are doing all your configuration things, then only call the method. So how, like once I'll write let me create one more package here, and I'll call it as test. In my test, I'll create one class and I'll name it as demo common driver. So when I have to call that methods of that class, what I'm going to do, I'll write like this: common driver equal to new common driver, and here only I'll give the browser name. So let's say I want to open Chrome, so I'll give Chrome browser here. Next step will be I'll set page load timeout. Okay, so page load time will be, let's say 40 seconds you're giving. Next will be driver dot set element detection timeout. So this, let's say I'm giving 20 seconds, and let me surround it with try catch. Okay, next will be driver dot open browser, which URL, let's say http://qatech.com. So here what is happening now? First of all, common driver is initiated. This class, this variable is created, which will invoke your browser. Then we are setting page load timeout, then we are setting element detection timeout, and then I'm doing open browser. So here I'm just taking input from the user. Whenever my browser is opening, in that case I'm setting these two values. Now what will happen if user forget to add here, or uh, let's say he or she added here, then after some time, after writing some code, they again added this by mistake only, but they added this. So what will happen if you keep the updation in that inside these methods, then again and again these values will get changed, but we want it to be at one place. But if you think your requirement is that way, then that is also fine. Okay, did it answer your question, Rishabh? Why I have added in open browser? So that it can be defined only once. Okay, any other doubt here? Okay, Praveen, you have a question. We can make page load timeout and element detection timeout as private. See, variables, both of the variables are private only. If I come to common driver class above, both variables are private, but we cannot make their methods, like setting methods, as private because we have to access these two methods here. Okay, if I'll make that as private, then here you'll not be able to access that method. So that's why I'm keeping it public. Okay, and this method it has a special name in Java or in any programming language. It is a setter to set value of page load timeout. Okay, any other question? Rupesh, I'm coming to your question. Now your question was that why we are adding this at override annotation. Okay, see here, iDriver class has some of the methods, all are abstract methods only, and we are implementing those methods here. So in a way, same methods are defined at two locations. Same method means methods with same name. See here, this method is also a closed browser, and here also I have defined a closed browser method. So methods with same name defined in two different classes are overriding methods, right? You can remove this at override annotation. There won't be any issue. But if you are keeping this at override annotation, then the method written just after it must be an overridden method. If you change this method to some other name, let's say I change it to close all browsers, this method is not there in this iDriver class. Okay, this at override annotation makes sure that the method you are writing is an overridden method. So it will give you an error now that this method must override or implement a super type method. So that's the reason this override annotation is there, to make ensure that the method written after it is an overriding method. Otherwise what will happen, like if I just remove this override annotation and right here just close all browsers, so it won't give me an error because this is a new method for this class, but we don't want this new method, we want same method. So that's why this at override annotation is there. Is it clear, Rupesh? Now anyone has doubt in this at override annotation or at any location till now? Okay, so let's proceed now. Okay, and one more thing, like till now we have written code in very simple format, like whatever we wanted we used to write in sequential order, right? But for now it might be little difficult for you to understand that why we are doing these things. Gives me some time, be with me. After some time, once I'll show you demo of this particular class, like I'll proceed only after giving demo of each and every class. So once that will be done, you'll understand that why we have written in such a way. Okay, so I've defined page load timeout. Next will be implicit wait. So here I'll call implicit wait. Variable name will be element detection timeout. This will remain same, time minute dot seconds. Okay, after setting page load timeout, after setting implicit wait, next will be you have to navigate to particular URL. So it will be get and the URL you are passing from argument. Okay, so this is your URL. Any questions on this? Okay, one thing we missed. Initially I explained few things to you. We missed that. Let's do it. That whenever you are working with a string argument, trim it. Sorry. So that if by mistake user has added some white spaces at the end, that can be removed. Another thing, Sometimes just to remove error, instead of putting a proper URL, we put simple white space. Like here, uh, when I was opening browser, I put this. Is it a proper URL for us? No. So to take care of this situation also, that if by mistake user has passed only white space, let's consider that also, because that can be a requirement also for us. So I'll say if URL dot is empty, then make my URL to about colon blank. Okay, so I'm just taking care of one empty condition also, that if by mistake user has put empty values, that can be updated, like your URL can be updated with about colon blank. So now instead of opening your browser with empty values, it will open this about colon blank. Okay, and Arun, you have your question. If inbuilt white spaces, like if in between white spaces are there, then we won't handle that in our case. Only while copy pasting, the white spaces comes by mistake. If you're putting in between, then there are your mistakes. So those things cannot be handled. Okay, and Praveen, you have a question. If a URL is null string, generally these things will be handled here only. Okay, like you won't put null in this case. You'll not be putting null here, right? And if by mistake null is coming, then we have this exception handling, so that will take care of your null values. Okay, or if you explicitly wants to set that if by mistake somebody has put that, so you can put another condition here, that if URL is null or equal to null, then make your URL to about colon blank, if you want to handle that situation also. Okay, Praveen, generally I'll not take care of this condition. If I like that thing, I'll take care while calling. Okay. Okay, so let's proceed now. So we are done with open browser. Let's complete the remaining methods. We have close browser, so driver dot close will be the method. Then close all browser. Which method is used for closing all browser? Anyone? What was the method to close all the browser? Quit. Perfect. Then element detection is done. Here get title. Okay, so this get title returns a text, so we forget here the return type should be string. Similarly, for get page source also it will be string, for get current URL also it will be string. And here it will be return driver dot get title. Similarly, get page source, so here also return type will be string. Why it is giving an error? Okay, I have not saved it. So it will be return on driver dot get page source. Similarly, get current URL. So here I'll say return driver dot get current URL. Okay, and return type will be string. Okay, remaining four methods are navigate methods. So it will be driver dot navigate dot to which variable? URL. And next will be refresh here I'll simply change it to refresh. Okay, another benefit you'll get out of creating this framework will be for your interview preparation, all methods will be there at one location. You just go through all these methods and done. Navigate dot back, and here it will be driver dot navigate forward. Okay, so that's all in CommonDriver class. Let's quickly recap. First of all, I created an interface. What is an interface? An interface is something which has only abstract methods. What are abstract methods? Methods without implementation. Only definition of method is there. Like here I created these methods which I thought will be required in my CommonDriver class. So I created them here first. Open browser, close all browser, set page load timeout, element detection, and everything. Okay, then I created CommonDriver class, and in this first of all I defined three three variables. One is instance of WebDriver class, next page load timeout, third element detection timeout. Okay, then I have defined these two values, like given these two values as default values in my constructor. Why constructor is used? Constructor is used to initialize default values only, right? What is a constructor? Constructor is a method with same name as that of class. It does not return anything, not even null, and is used for initializing default values. So here I defined the initialize the default values. Okay, so I have a question here, but I'll come back once I'll complete this part. Then we are doing some trim check. Why we do? So that while copy pasting, if by mistake you have copied some extra white spaces, that can be removed, or that can be taken care. Then switch case statement I put. One case is for Chrome browser and second case is for Firefox browser. You can add as many cases you want, and at the end I have also put a default, that is throw new exception, where I'm just throwing invalid browser. So this thing I'm doing in constructor. So as soon as I create instance of my CommonDriver class, my browser will get invoke. Okay, then I'm doing opening browser, so trimming, then URL is empty, and then delete all cookies, set page load timeout, element detection, and get URL. Okay, then after that close browser, close all browser, then get title, get page source, and remaining methods. All those are easy. So any questions here? Okay, Rupesh, you in the starting you had this question that why we need this CommonDriver class. So is it clear now why we need this CommonDriver constructor? Okay, so now I have a question for you all, that in constructor I defined these two values. Okay, so what will happen if I remove these two values? Okay, let me ask it one by one. I want you to answer. So I have these two values in my CommonDriver, demo CommonDriver. I forget to set these two values. Say for example I forget these two values, then what will happen? First of all, this CommonDriver like I created an instance of CommonDriver class which will invoke my browser. Then I'm directly calling OpenBrowser. Now this OpenBrowser, this OpenBrowser in this OpenBrowser here we are setting page load timeout, but we forget to give these two values. Then what will be the value set here? Whatever is defined in my constructor, right? So this is one benefit of defining or giving default values in your constructor. Now the question is, if I forget here, then what will happen? Anyone can answer it? What will happen if I forget at both the location? Rupesh, you're saying 0, then it will set whatever we pass the value. Okay, so what will happen actually? The default value of page load timeout, like if you have defined some private variables, okay, and not giving values in your constructor and not setting anywhere, then these two values, okay, these two values has default values as 0. So your page load timeout will be 0, your element detection timeout will be 0. So just consider that within no time your browser has to invoke, which is not possible. So everything will break. Okay, so like if you want to see, I can show you also here. uh, Let me do one thing. I'll call to uh, uh, page load timeout. Okay, and here I'll say element detection timeout, and here also I'll say element detection. Why I'm discussing these things? Because interview can like while you will be defining your framework, that time he may ask you these questions, that what will happen I'll do this, what will happen if I'll do this. So you should know what will happen if I do something and what will if I don't do something. See now what will happen. See, page load timeout is 0, element detection timeout is 0, because we have not given anything. While we were discussing about the constructor, I explained you these things. Okay, and let's just wait for the error which will come now. Okay, see, it has invoked the browser, but you're getting an error while calling a URL. See here, timeout received message from rendering this. See, 0 seconds. This milliseconds is some default value, but it like your Selenium expected to get that page within 0 seconds, right? Which is not possible at all. So is it clear that why we are defining it in constructor as default value? So that if somebody forgets to add value, then these two values will be updated. Okay, now if you'll run it, your page load timeout will be 30 seconds and your element detection timeout will be 10 seconds. Here also I'll just remove these. Okay, now questions here. Anyone, any questions here? Okay, now like this, see each and every line, and if you think you have some doubt in any of the line I've written in this class, ask your question, challenge me if you have something that you think should not be there. Like Rishabh took out very important point, that why we are not defining this element detection timeout or set page load timeout here. Okay, so like this, if you think you have any question, ask me, because that's what interviewer going to ask you. The question I just asked, like what will happen if I just I've not defined these two values and the other one. Okay, Rishabh, you have a question. If we call the same method from the interface in another class without inheriting that interface, can we implement in the new class? I didn't get your question. If we call the same method from interface in another class without inheriting that interface, can we implement it? Okay, then it will. Okay, I got your question. You're saying that we have defined this interface. I'll create another class. I'll keep all the methods but not implement it. So that's fine. There won't be any relation between that interface and your class. You can do this. They will be two separate classes. This is what your question was, right? Yeah, method name is same. both are different classes, two different classes can have same name. Two different classes can have same name, I mean methods with same name. There should, because there is no relation between those two classes, right? When you'll have some relation between them, like you are implementing or you are extending, then only these concepts will come. Okay, so we are done with our common driver. Let's quickly demo it. So what I'm going to do, we have initialized the Chrome browser, set page load time, set element detection time. We have opened the browser. Next will be, let's get the title, and okay, let me do one thing, system.out.println, and then close the browser. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, so here you can see the title of the page is printed. Okay, now we have this common driver ready with us, the side driver and common driver ready with us. Whenever you have to write a new script now, you don't have to write this invoke browser part, then opening browser part, get title, page load timeout, nothing. Just call methods from that class. Okay, so that's all in common driver class. Any questions? Praveen, your question, why are we not including explicit wait? Wait for some time, that will be included. That is something separate. I mean, that is a utility for us. These two, implicit wait and page load timeout, they are must have things. Okay, uh, they must be there in your framework, defined before invoking a URL. Other things are like utility to us. We'll use them only when required. So the explicit wait I'll define in one of my utility class, and that time we'll discuss about it. Okay. Okay. Any other question? Okay. If not, then let's have a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll discuss our next class file. Okay. So see you after 10 minutes. Okay, Rishabh, I'll take your question after the class, after the break, sorry. Okay, so let's start. Okay, Rishabh, you asked a question. Before that, a quick guess if you all can hear me. Okay. So Rishabh asked me a question. Let me copy paste it in Notepad. Okay. So Rishabh asked the question that there is an interface with one method, let's say foo. He created a class C1 which implements this interface I, and the implementation of that method is there. Then class 2 is created which has this foo method. Then another class is created in which he has a main method, and we are creating two instances. Okay, so who will tell me that why the second one is giving an error? Anyone? We discussed it about it yesterday. What exactly is the reason that the second one is giving an error? Because this error is coming because this I and C2 does not have any relation. Okay, you created an instance of an interface. You can only initialize it with the classes which implements it. Okay, so if there will be another class which will implement this I interface, or here we will write C2 implements I, then only there won't be any error. Okay, so it does not matter whether you have same methods written on it. They are not overridden method, they are new method. Okay, so this foo method here, this is another method. It does not have any relation with the interface defined above. Okay, is it answers your question, Rishabh? Clear here or any doubt? Okay, so see, only when you'll have a relation, then only you can initialize with that class. Here C2 and I don't have any relation, that's why you're getting an error. Okay, so let's continue with the next class file here. So I'll create another interface, and let's now create an interface which will have all the methods related to common web elements. Okay, um, what I mean is that let's consider about radio buttons. Some of the methods you perform exactly same as you do in radio buttons or in text box or any button or any link. So all those methods which are common to all the web elements will define here. So I web element control. So I'll call this class as iWeb element control, and what all methods you are going to have in it is, just a second. Okay, so what all methods you can have in this is one of the very all the actions first. So first action is public void click. Click is one method, right, where you have to click on some web element. So I'll pass instance of web element. Let's say I'm calling it as element throws exception. This is one method I've written. Why it is giving me an error? Okay, we forget it should be an interface. Next, public void. What else? Um, Then one of the method is get text, so I'll change it to string get text. Get text from where? Some web element, so it will be web element throws exception. Next will be one of the method will be get attribute. Get attribute from a web element. Now you also have to give which attribute you want. So string attribute, right? This is one method which is common to all the web elements. What else is common? Getting CSS property was one method. So public void again string get CSS value or get CSS value I can name. Then web element, you have to tell which web element and which CSS value you are talking about. So here CSS property name throws exception. Okay, next will be what else you can do. There were um, uh, three methods which were part of our verification, that also you can perform on any of the method, so I'll add that also. So one of the method was is element detected, so it will be web element again throws exception. Okay, Rupesh, you're saying can we write throws exception one time for all methods? Not sure. I guess there is no way. I'll try to search if there will be. In C sharp there is a way, I know in C sharp, but not here. Okay, is element detected, then there is element visible. Sorry, throws exception is the method. What else? There is one is selected, so it will be public again boolean is selected, is element selected, web element and then throws exception. What else is left? Yeah, these are few methods. If something else will require, we'll add it. Okay, does anyone remember any of the method you think can be added here, which will be common? Okay, fine. So I'll write one, I'll do one thing. I'll create one more instance, one more interface, and I'll name it as I Xbox. And here what all methods you can write in a text box? One is set text, clear text, right? These are two methods. So I'll write public void. One is set text throws exception. Okay. Uh, Set text, and the other one was clear text, right? Get text we have already written. So these are two methods which you can call specifically in text box. Then Next will be, I'll create another interface where we can have drop down controls. Okay, and here I can make it I drop down controls finish. So what all methods you can have in a drop down? Public, void. Remember what all our methods can be added in drop down? Anyone? Just think of methods we did it in the drop down. Yes, select by value, select by index, select by text, and so on. Okay, so one of the method will be select via visible text, throws exception, copy, paste. So one will be select via visible text, next will be select via value, next will be select via index, then next will be select via not select, there is multiple, and that will be boolean. Okay, then what else? What else you do with the drop down? We can get all options, right? So it will be list of web elements when I have to get all values. So get all options. This is one method. What else? You might be interested in getting first selected option. So in that case it will be web element. Sorry. Method name will be get first selected option. Okay, you might be interested in getting all selected option, so I'll add that method also. Get all selected options. Is anything left? I guess more than enough. Deselect we generally don't use, so I'm not putting them. If you require, you can add them. Okay, so these are methods required in drop down. What else? We have one more, that is actions class. So I can add actions control also. Public void. In actions control, what all methods you might be requiring? You can have drag and drop, then move to element. Okay, so this drag and drop will be requiring two elements, right? Web element, element 1 comma web element 2. Okay, then move to element will require only one element. Then we have right click, then we have double click, what else? Move to element, double click, move to element and click. This can be one method. Move to element and click. Anything else you can think of? Okay, I guess these are more than enough. If anything else will be required, we can add it. Next, after actions class, what else is left? Okay, I'll write one more for checkbox. Okay, this is one important interview scenario. What happens is, this is while you're doing your coding, that time uh, you might require that if there is a checkbox, you want to first check its status. If it is checked, then you have to uncheck it, or if it is unchecked, then you have to check it. This is very common scenario. If you will directly call the method this dot click, then whatever will be the status, it will toggle it. Okay, but we want to check the status and then do the coding. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, I'll write one method and I'll name it as public void change checkbox status. Okay, again throws exception. Okay, and here I'll pass two things. One is web element and second is uh, boolean status. Okay, if it will be checked, I'll like if this will be checked, then I'll pass true. If it won't, then I'll pass false. Why it is giving error? Okay, I forget to change it to interface. Fine. Okay, so this we need with checkbox. We'll discuss about it in detail. What else? Then I have to add one method for JavaScript execution. Again, I created class. Okay, JavaScript executor. I'll make it interface. Okay, so in my JavaScript executor, what all methods you write? Uh, One method I'll be writing will be simply executing any JavaScript. So it will be public void execute Java script through okay, and here we will pass the string JavaScript to execute, or I can call it simply script to execute. Okay, throws exception. Okay, what else? One of the method we saw was scroll down, so I can directly write scroll down method, and here I'll say int x comma int y. So this will directly call JavaScript execution. Okay, sometimes sometimes you want to execute a script with some return value, like your script is returning some value, your JavaScript is returning some value. So public string, again I'll call execute JavaScript with return value. Okay, here it will be string script to execute throws exception. Okay, this is one. Sometimes you also require to execute async scripts. What are async scripts? Scripts which require certain arguments that are async scripts. Okay, so I'll give you example also. Let me just write the method for now. Execute async JavaScript, and here I'll say object args. Okay, so what does this means? Can anyone, like, why I'm passing an array? Can anyone explain? Like, does anyone know the answer here? Okay, so if you don't have any idea, we'll discuss about it once we'll implement it. Uh, one more interface I'll create, and I'll name it as take screenshot. Okay, so in my screenshot, just a second, I'll have only one method, capture and save screenshot, or whatever you want to call it. Public void capture and save screenshot, and here I'll be passing string file name, throws exception. Okay, what else? What is left? Anyone? Anything you think of is left? Rupesh, you're saying reading data from Excel sheet. That is separate. We'll take care of that later. Here we are only writing things related to uh, selenium. Okay. Rishabh, you're saying alerts. Very good. So let's add alerts also. I alert. Okay, alerts and frames. Fine. So first of all, let's add alert. What all methods you might require in an alert? Public void method name accept alert, right? Okay, this is one method. What else? You have accept alert, then you have reject alert, then you have, what else you have? What else you need? Get message from an alert, right? Okay, and one I'll write as is alert present. Okay, so that's all. Rupesh is saying switch to alert. So switch to alert will take care inside it. Just talk about the functionalities here. So we need accepting an alert, we need rejecting an alert, and we need if to check if that alert is present or not. Okay, then these all are alert. Then window handling you need. So I'll create another interface. I window handle controls, or let it be. Okay, So what methods you require here? First is switch to child window, right? Switch to parent window, get window handle, and get window handles. And the return type of get window handles will be a set of string. Okay, what else? Okay, Rupesh, you have a question in alert. I have one question: how to select checkbox in alert pop-up? Uh, what kind of alert it is? It won't be a normal alert. Can you give any example, like if somewhere you have seen or something like that? Because that depends on how that alert is written. Okay, so give me that particular example. I'll try it. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll try this scenario and we'll discuss about it. Okay. Okay, sure, no problems. Give me the scenario and I'll try it. Okay, because I have not seen any such alert. Okay, so these are the interfaces. One is left, that is related to frame, so you can add an interface with iframe handling or frame controls, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and in this it will be public void switch to alert, and one argument I'll pass is string alert, sorry, switch to frame, my mistake. And here it will be frame ID throws exception. Okay, one is this way and one is index, so it will be int index. What else you can think of in a frame? Yeah, one is switch to default content. Okay, switch, spelling of switch is not correct. Switch to default content. Okay, here you don't have to pass anything. Okay, so that's all you need in frames. Anything else you can think of? Okay, then let's keep these only. Okay, so for all these interfaces, now we'll create one classes and implement all these methods. Okay, now let me do it for one and try for others. Okay, so I'll do it for window handle, and I'll this can be an homework for you, that how you can do for others. Okay, so I'll just need 10 more minutes. Okay, so give me 10 more minutes and I'll complete it. Okay, Rishabh, using attribute, which attribute are you talking about? Get attribute, I added it in web element control. And Rupesh, you're saying handling Ajax. Okay, so you can create one more class for Ajax also. We have not discussed about Ajax. Okay, implements, and here it can be web element control. Okay, now it want these methods to be implemented here. Why it is not giving me option? Okay, so I added all unimplemented methods. Okay, so here method will be return, what you have to do, element, sorry, this does not require any return. It will be element dot click. This method is going to do, we have element with us, we just have to click on it, then get text. So what will we do here? We have element, we have to just get text from it. Okay, similarly here is the get attribute. So here I'll say return element dot get attribute, and which attribute you want, whatever you're passing as an attribute. Next is get CSS value, so it will be return element dot get CSS value, and here we are passing CSS property name. So here you have to pass the status, so it will be element dot is element, what was it, is element detected, uh, or I can change it to is element, instead of detected I can change it to enabled. If I'm changing here, I have to change in its interface also. Web element control. Okay, and here is element is enabled. Similarly, we have one more, rather two more. It will be element is visible, is displayed, and here we have is selected. Okay, so that's how you'll complete this method. Try completing others. Okay, one more thing, in my CommonDriver I forget to add one more method. Let me quickly add that also. That won't be an overridden method, that is something which I'm adding here. So that will be get driver. So if outside you require the instance of browser, as it is as this private as this web driver is a private variable, so I'll define here, and it will be return driver. So if outside you need this browser instance, you can simply call this method. Okay, so yeah, for now that's all. In next class, next Saturday, we'll complete all these methods, and then we'll discuss about what is the benefit of defining these interfaces, and then what is the benefit of defining methods in such a way. Okay, and then we'll proceed with discussing page object model. So we have three uh, different ways of page object model. We'll discuss about all the three, and we'll implement page factory in our framework. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. Any questions before I end the class? Okay, Rupesh, you have a question. I was going through some interview question. They asked, explain your framework architecture. Yeah, don't worry about that. Let me just proceed one by one. I'm just waiting for these files to complete, and then we'll give you a proper diagram which you can directly copy paste while the interviewer asks you this question. Okay, so don't worry about that. I'll give you proper prepared things. Okay, and Arun, you have a option object repository. Let's just wait for page object model, and then we'll discuss about that. Or Rishabh can give you answer on that. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Yes, Rupesh. Go ahead with your questions. Okay, in Ajax topic, actually I have not worked on Ajax, so if you can give me your questions, I can search on it and then we can discuss. I have never worked with Ajax, not implemented in my project actually. Is it fine? Can you just send me a mail? I'll go through all your scenarios and then we'll discuss. Rishabh, you have a question. Will we cover Jenkins? Yes, we'll cover Jenkins and we'll invoke this project, whatever we are creating with Jenkins. Jenkins in itself is a very big topic, but we'll cover that part which is required for Selenium, like how to invoke TestNG test cases through Jenkins, then how to schedule your run of your, I mean execution of your test case, like you can run on daily on 9 o'clock or something like this. That is what we'll do. Okay, I mean one class will be enough. No, one class won't be enough. It will take around 1.5 class to cover the complete Jenkins, and then you can learn over it. Apurva, you have a question. Can we work on 2-3 web applications simultaneously using Selenium in one project? Yes, you can do that. Can you give me your requirement so that I can explain it? Okay. Rupesh, you have a question that I'm recently being aligned to a project and this framework is already designed, so what will be our role? So one thing will be you have to maintain that framework. Second thing, you have to learn using that framework and then uh, build on it. Like framework is ready, that's fine, but scripts won't be ready, right? So you have to use that framework to write your own scripts to automate the scenarios. Okay, so framework won't automate things. Framework will give you ways to automate scenarios. So here I created a test folder like this. You'll have your test cases. So in each and every test case you will be using methods from these frameworks. So answer to this question will be that my role is to maintain the framework. If some changes is required in any of the method, then we do it. Second, to build on over it, like if some new functionality is coming in that framework, we add that. Third thing, we create test cases or test scripts using that framework. Okay, so whatever new is coming in our project, we keep on adding, and fourth thing will be executing already existing test cases. Like I have a suite created for regression tests, so I run it regularly, check it if some defects are coming, and so on. So this is what you have to answer for this question. Okay, is it clear? Okay. Okay, Apurva, I got your scenario. We'll discuss it later. I mean, I'll give maybe okay, I'll call you for that and we'll discuss about how you can do that. It's very easy. Using the same framework which we are developing, you can do that. Okay. Rupesh, you have a question. Why is this framework named modular? Actually, this is not a proper name. I am not getting what exactly will be the name, because generally we call this framework as our own project name. But yeah, one reason why we calling it as modular, because everything is divided into modules. See here, I have interfaces, I have common libs. This is one module for me. Or you can say this thing, common libs and common interfaces. This is one module where we have separate selenium methods. Next module I'll create, which will have all the page object methods. So that will be second module. Third will be where I'll have all my test cases using TestNG. Fourth, where I'll keep all my utilities. Fifth, where I'll keep a way to or that XML files. So that will be one module for me. Like this, there will be one thing where you can keep all your log files. So that will be one module. So as the things are divided into module, that's why we are calling it modular. Okay, and what is different, how it is different from other frameworks, uh, will we discuss. Okay, so as a theory I can show you hybrid driven, keyword driven, also data driven anyways will complete here. I'll show you data driven and like, I'll explain you data driven, sorry, I'll explain you keyword driven and hybrid driven. Maybe you can have a comparison between those two. Okay, but these topics are not asked in question that what is difference between this type of framework or that type of framework. What interviewer expects is what you have done in your own project. So he's not interested in which kind of project framework you're doing. Whatever framework you're doing, it's fine. Just tell him the way you have implemented in your project. Okay, so he'll not ask you the name of the framework. Just tell him I create the project I'm working on has a framework which has separated out selenium methods, which has TestNG in it. With we are using page object model or page factory as our design pattern. Then we have written a utility to create reports. We have utility to log files. Okay, so that's what is required, and the flow I'll explain with proper diagram. Okay, any other questions? Okay, anyways we have shooted out 20 minutes, 17 minutes, so let's end this class here. Okay, then I'm ending the class. Thank you so much for joining. See you next weekend, and we'll continue with wherever we have left. Bye bye. And Apurva, I'll call you for that. Okay.